Hello everyone, that Manga Kid here to do a series first impressions of Living Room Matsunaga-san. This is by Keiko Iwashita. It's a new Kodansha physical release. This was one of their digital only or digital first, whatever they call it, manga series that they brought to print this year, and it is an age gap romance between Matsunaga-san and they call her Miko, uh, who is a high school student. Unless I missed it in this volume, they do not actually specify the ages of these two or anybody else in the house for that matter. It is a boarding house story, which I really have been enjoying. Shortcake Cake, another boarding house story, so I figured I would really enjoy this one. Age gap romances do not bother me, so um, I figured I'd really enjoy this one, and I was right. Volume 1 is really good. Um, like I said, I don't think it specifies the ages. I don't know what grade she's in high school, and I don't know how old he is. All it says on the back is that he's the oldest of all of the people living in the house, and the other folks are on the back here. So there's a total of 6 of them living in the house, and um, you don't know much about this girl. These two are working. This guy is in college, and then Matsunaga-san is a designer. He designs books and stuff. At least it seems that's what he's doing in this volume. And it's her uncle's boarding house. She moves in there because her parents have gone to take care of her sick grandmother, and her uncle is away on business all the time. So instead of her living with him alone all the time, he figured she could live in the boarding house he owns so that she's not alone and that other people are there. And, she has a bit of at least people kind of watching over her being there. Um, and so here she is trying to exist in this space with a bunch of adults, and it's really charming, actually. I enjoy the fact that she understands that she is still technically a child. She understands that she's in high school and that she's living with all of these adults that she is kind of putting up on a pedestal, that she's kind of seeing, especially this woman with the long hair there. Um, she's kind of seeing her as this role model. These adults that she's living with. She's like, man, I'm so far from being as mature as they are. But she's learning, that we're all just people, and that they may seem super mature, but they actually are just as insecure, or still trying to find their way in their life as well. And I just really enjoy the dynamic of the house. I think it's really loving. I think that it's really fun, and you get to hear a lot about the past residents of the house and how some of them have lived here longer than others, and I've always been fascinated by a boarding house dynamic, and of course, obviously, it's a romance, so feelings happen between these two, um, and she starts to fall for him. He's kind of he's very interesting. He's a very grumpy, kind of outward guy, and especially her first interaction with him, she's terrified of him because he seems like he's extremely angry, but that's just the way that he projects himself, not intentionally. Um, he wears his emotions on his sleeve, and when he gets a little frustrated, he looks outwardly furious, and it's just very fascinating because he's actually quite a nice guy, and um, he wants to help her kind of assimilate into this house and feel comfortable, and um, yeah, it's really good, and the art is gorgeous. The characters are gorgeous. You've got, like, they're all really good looking people. The hair, I really like the hair, the attention to detail on that. Um, there's a couple scenes of him shirtless. He's gorgeous. um, she's adorable. It's very, yeah, it's a romance, but I'm really liking it. And I think that if you are enjoying Shortcake Cake, as well, then this is definitely one that you should check out if you like the boarding house kind of trope. If you This one, to me, honestly, maybe it will later. It doesn't really feel like an age gap to me. I know that he is older, but because like there's no power dynamic here really. He's not a teacher, or he's not her teacher. He's not her guardian in any way. They live together, and he may be showing her the ropes and trying to make sure that she's comfortable in the house and whatever, and he sees her. It describes him on the back as a mother hen. He likes to take care of the other people in the house, but that's not his job. So it doesn't feel like a power dynamic to me. He's just this gorgeous guy who's nice, who lives in this house that she also lives in. Of course she's going to fall for him. Um I don't know. I don't see a problem with it. And that being said, I don't know how old he is. He could just be a young looking like 30, but I doubt it. Um I'm assuming he's in his early 20s, maybe his mid 20s. Uh, but it's just a fun, at least so far, a fun romance set in a boarding house, and I'm really enjoying it. Highly recommend checking out Living Room Matsunaga-san. Oh, the title also. I've heard about this one for a while, and I was confused by the title because I'm like, what does Living Room Matsunaga-san mean? And after reading this volume, I'm like, oh, I get it, because there's a point in here where she says, oh, he's not crashing in the living room tonight. So he's kind of like, the living room seems to be, the space where they all socialize. It's the communal area. And most of the time they're all in their bedrooms, but when they're in the living room, they're together and they're um, interacting. And he spends a lot of time in the living room. And so it's kind of, I guess, a nod to that, of like that communal space, that space where she gets to see him, because she doesn't hang out in his bedroom and he doesn't hang out in her bedroom. The living room is their space where they get to actually talk and they get to see each other, even though they live together. That's the space where they really see the most of each other. So that was my interpretation of why it's called Living Room Matsunaga-san. Because I was very confused. I didn't understand the title, but I think I got it now. Anyway, highly recommend reading it, checking it out if you haven't already. Support this one, because there's some other digital first titles that Kodansha has that I would love to see in print, and yeah, might as well support the ones that are coming out, and let them know that this is something that we want. So anyway, thanks for watching. See ya.